Oceans absorb around 90% of the heat trapped by rising greenhouse gas emissions. They warm much slower than the atmosphere because of the high heat capacity of water. So on July 3rd, 2023, when we set the record for the highest global atmospheric temperature and then broke that record on July 4th, 5th, and 6th, I started to wonder what the ocean was doing. Turns out it was setting heat wave records at the same time.
The ocean by now has warmed everywhere compared to the late 19th century, except for one very telling exception, this cold blob.
The cold blob is one of the only places on the planet that has actually gotten colder since the Industrial Revolution, and not just a little colder. While our planet's oceans have warmed about 1 degree Celsius, this cold patch in the North Atlantic near Greenland has cooled by nearly the same amount. And if you find this mysterious cold blob a little creepy, you should, because many scientists see it as a sign that a vital Earth system could be nearing collapse with enormous consequences.
I used to say that the probability
That was PBS with climate change. And is climate change really such a big deal? I mean, the left seem to think it's such a big deal, they blame everything. And if you think PBS had something to say about climate change, watch these next two segments with Fox. There were a couple months ago. Jesse Watters is going to tell us about climate change, and we're going to hear from Dana Perry on climate change. But you make that decision whether you think climate change is just a big deal. It's much to do about nothing, as big government is always, and we've got to deflect from the inflation. I'm Tisha Powell. Go ahead and hit that free like and that free subscribe button, and check out the tag products. They are lovely, they're gorgeous, they're beautiful. From PBS, we're going to go to Fox. We have two segments on Fox, and we have commentation to give to you. We'll be back shortly. Don't you touch that dial. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe. I'll see you shortly.
The left rushing to blame global warming for that dangerous heat wave gripping the nation and the world right now. But I think the heat's getting to their heads. Climate change obsessed liberals are actually acting crazier than usual, with eco-extremists in Germany literally gluing their hands to airport runways as a way to sound the alarm on how the planet's cooked. It wound up blocking plane traffic at 2 airports for hours until officials ripped the protesters off the concrete. Kamala is also getting herself into somewhat of a sticky situation while pumping up the climate hysteria. Check out this huge gaffe she made.
Every day, all across our nation, we feel and see the impact of the climate crisis. It is clear that the clock is not only ticking, it is banging, and we must act. Think about the impact on something like public health. When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
The White House forced to clean that one up, posting a corrected, quote-unquote, version of the transcript of her speech that claims Harris meant to say pollution instead of population. And while Kamala claims it was just a gaffe, liberals seem to agree with it. 53% of parents say that global warming affects their decision to have more kids. Greg, it was pretty hot over the weekend. Do you think it's because of global warming?
No, but I think that what she did was she unintentionally said the true meaning of what the climate activism is. They see population as pollution, as something.
I didn't say it. I'm just playing the segment. So you saw Fox News with Jesse Watters, and you heard from Greg Gottfield, and he says Vice President Kamala Harris made that jiffy about climate change. She really meant to say population control. So this is the exaggeration about climate change. Climate change is an exaggeration. The problem is now, as individuals, as humans, we are able to measure data on weather. So it looks worse over the years. Climate change they're making a big deal out of it. They're making a big deal out of it. Government is trying to have us cut stuff out because of climate change, and they're not addressing the inflation. Let's go hear more from Fox News about climate change. This was a couple months ago with the Maui fires. Let's hear what Dana has to say about that. We'll be back shortly.
Democrats in the media didn't waste much time to blame climate change for the horrific wildfire that happened in Maui.
If you look at it, I mean, everything from the fire, the tragic fire in Hawaii, to Texas, which had something like 75 days in a row, over 95. I mean, it's completely, really amazing what has happened with climate change.
To stop these disasters from getting even worse, we have to cut the carbon pollution that's driving the climate crisis.
We very, very much need to acknowledge that climate change is upon us. There are whole states, by the way, Jake, where you can't even use the words climate change because they still have a hit in the sand attitude. The Inflation Reduction Act provided some $300 billion to combat climate change and to move us away from continuing reliance on fossil fuels.
But now that narrative just got confronted by reality. Maui officials are publicly blaming Hawaii's largest electric utility company for the deadly wildfires, filing a lawsuit that claims it was their intentional and malicious mismanagement of power lines that allowed the flames to spark. Fox News Digital reaching out to 5 Democratic lawmakers who pushed the theory that man-made global warming was to blame, but only hearing back from one. All right, Judge, they have a lawsuit, and that's going to be about the power company to deal with. But immediately, it's almost as if any issue can, if you don't want to deal with accountability, you just say climate change.
Yeah. Well, I think I've said this before. In the winter, it's all about COVID. In the summer, it's all about climate change. OK, and we just need to put more money into it. I heard today the president's going to ask for more money for COVID. Yeah. I mean, so here we go again. But look, if what Mazie Senator Hirono says is true, $300 billion to fight climate change, how come this kind of thing is happening? Mm-hmm. All right. The Inflation Reduction Act was all about a giveaway to the green energy companies. In the end, it's not about global warming. And it's not.
Tisha Paul, and I'm just reminding you to hit the free like and the free subscribe button and check out the tag products. They are gorgeous. They are lovely. They are beautiful. Now you can shop and watch your favorite YouTube podcasts all at the same time. We were talking about climate change and we show you 3 segments, 1 from PBS, 2 from Fox. And you make that decision. Do you really think climate change is exaggerated by government because of big propaganda to dilute or to reduce population? Versus it really what's happening? Are we able to measure data, and is things worse off? I do know the world is not going to end on climate change. You just got to read the Bible to figure that one out. And regardless if there's climate change or not, you and I have a duty to take care of ourselves and to take care of each other. So that's our job. I'm Tisha Paul. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to tune in real soon. Go ahead and hit the free like and the free subscribe button. That way you won't miss the latest news we have. There's my climate change dance for you.